Good morning, all of you. Today we are going to discuss about the different factors that influences the process of photosynthesis. Earlier we discussed about the photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the synthesis of food material by plants by using the light energy. This is the most fundamental principle that is responsible for the life on the earth. Mr. Mahesh Kumar has taken us through different aspects of the photosynthesis. We discussed about the pigments, chloroplast structure, phosphorylation, cyclic and non-cyclic phosphorylation, Calvin cycle, different types of photosynthesis that we all discussed. Now, today Mahesh Kumar will explain about the different factors that are influencing the photosynthesis, and he will conclude by going through all the important phases once again. I welcome Mr. Mahesh Kumar to give his session.
Thank you, sir. Hi, students. Welcome to webinar session for the chapter of photosynthesis in higher plants. Now we are at last at the ending point in a photosynthesis topic, that is factor affecting the rate of photosynthesis. So from webinar 1 to webinar 4, we learned that the photosynthesis occur in a green plants, that is especially in the leaves. That leaves contain chloroplast, and in chloroplast the thylakoids consist of chlorophylls. These pigments trap the solar energy and synthesizes ATP and NADPH, which are transferred to stroma. There the dark reaction occur. By utilizing that ATP and NADPH, glucose is synthesized, and this dark reaction is different in different plants like C3, C4 and CAM we already learned. And now the last topic is factor affecting photosynthesis. In photosynthesis equation is there what are factors are required for photosynthesis, that is carbon dioxide, water, sunlight, chloroplast, chlorophyll. Not only that, external and internal factors are there. External factors, if you see the external factors, means environmental factors. First one is light. Already you know the spectrum of light, absorption spectrum and action spectrum, where we learned that the different pigments trap the different wavelength of sunlight. And next the temperature, next carbon dioxide, and next the water and the oxygen. These are the external factors which influence and needed for photosynthesis process. The total photosynthesis process depends in these external factors, on these external factors. So we have to learn today what happens when these factors are minimized or maximized. What are the impacts on photosynthesis process? And if you see the internal factors, chlorophyll content is very important. It is directly proportional. When chlorophyll is more, the photosynthetic rate also more. Now, number of leaves, chloroplast in each cell, size of leaf, age of leaf, orientation of leaf also very important. If the leaf is needle-like, if you observe, if the leaf is broad one, a lot of difference is there. Students, if the leaf is more broad, it can absorb more sunlight. If it is needle-like, it is very less amount of light is received by the plant. That is also very impact on photosynthesis process. And mesophils, yes, if you take the PS of leaf in 10th class, it is there. Upper epidermis, below the upper epidermis, the palisade tissues which contain chloroplast, and below that spongy cells are there. So these cells and their number, the size also very important for the photosynthesis process. And chloroplast number, chlorophyll content, and next accumulation of end product. What is this means? When glucose is converted into starch, that should be transported through the phloem into the plant body. If it is not transported, that end product will be accumulated in the leaf. That will be very problematic. So student, today we are learning how these factors influence the photosynthesis rate. What happens when these factors are minimized, maximized? Why? Because different types of environment is there. different types of plants are there. The different types of plants growing in a different habitats and the different continents having a different environmental fluctuations are there. Seasonal fluctuations are there. We cannot say every time the same temperature, same light, same wind is present. Always the environment going to be changed. Sometimes it is cloudy. So when these environmental factors fluctuates, when these internal and external factors will be minimized or maximized, what are the impacts we have to learn today. So here the Blackman, the scientist in 1905, first explained the law of limiting factor. It is very important. Why? Because when I am explaining all these topics, it will come in every point of. That's why we have to learn the limiting factor. What it says, let's just see. This law states that if a chemical process is affected by more than one factor, then its rate will be decided by the factor which is present in minimum amount. Means suppose the photosynthesis process is there, not only photosynthesis, lot of metabolic activities are there. So when these metabolic activities depends on more factors, more than one factor, if that process will be stopped or affected by a least amount factor, that will be called as limiting factor. Once again I am reading this. The law states that if any chemical process affected by more than one factor, then its rate will be decided by a least factor in that. So we have different external and internal factors in for photosynthesis. Just see the example. Suppose a green leaf is there which is received optimum light, CO2 condition is there, everything is good, but the thing is temperature is very low. Now here we are calling the limiting factor is the temperature. Why? Because CO2 percentage is good, light is optimum, and regarding oxygen percentage, leaf size, chloroplast, everything is, all factors are at their optimum value. But here you have to observe, student, here what is the low? Temperature is very low. So among all factors, now this is the least factor. When temperature is low, the enzymes are denatured or enzymes are not working in condition, then all chemical reactions are affected. Now the photosynthesis process may decrease or stops. So this is called the law of limiting factor. We can take another example. If you take a desert plant, for desert plant, which one is the limiting factor? The water is the limiting factor. There, sunlight is very good, wind is very good, CO2 conditions are very good, but always what is lacking there? The water will be the scarcity. So it will be the limiting factor. The photosynthetic rate of a desert plant may be affected by the water. Why? Because the water scarcity is there in desert plant. That is very important. So like that you can take any example. So now when any process depends on more than one factor, that process, if that process is minimized or stopped by a least factor, that is called a limiting factor. Now take a graph for explanation of Blackman's law of limiting factor. On x-axis CO2 concentration, on y-axis rate of photosynthesis. See, the CO2 concentration is increasing along with the increasing of intensity. What happened? Let's see. Now A to B, if you see, the rate of photosynthesis is increasing and CO2 concentration is increasing and light intensity are slowly increased. Now there is no problem. Rate of photosynthesis is increased. Now if you see, the intensity little bit increased. Now CO2 concentration also little bit increased. Up to B to C, the rate of photosynthesis also increased. Now student, observe here at the point of D, slowly the graph is saturated. It is a high light intensity. Now the photosynthesis occur, but it is in a straight line. If still the intensity is still increased, now the graph will be very down. We can show the graph the downside. Why? Because when the high light intensity is there, the CO2 percent has to be increased along with the intensity. So when CO2 increase, the stomata will be closed. High light intensity also leads to stomatal closure, so CO2 does not enter into the leaf. Then the dark reaction, the preparation of food starch is not happen. So up to D point, it's okay. So when high light intensity increases, the CO2 percent also increase. When CO2 increases, stomata closes. Now here the CO2 is called a limiting factor for the photosynthesis process. So three example I am given. One is that the temperature is low for one plant, and one is a desert plant where the water is limiting. Now the CO2 is a limiting factor by this graph. So anything, anywhere, according to the environment factors and habitat factors. So anything becomes a limiting factor according to Blackman's. Now the first external factor, that is light. In light has a three properties, that is intensity, quality and duration. Let's see the intensity first. See the graph here, students. On x-axis I taken light intensity, and in a y-axis and rate of photosynthesis. If you see the graph up to this point, when light intensity is going on increasing, the photosynthetic rate is increased, but at a saturation point, now it is a straight line, and after still the light intensity still increases, automatically the photosynthesis process will be reduced. Now graph will be will be reduced. What happen means, when light simply point, you have to understood means light intensity, when light intensity is increased, automatically the stomata closure happens and CO2 will not enter into the plant body. So photosynthesis process will be reduced. First, if you see, as light intensity increases, more ATP and NADPH are made, that is good for the sugar production. But above a certain light intensity increases, oxygen begins to compete with the CO2 for the active site on RUBP. So already you know ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate carboxylase and oxygenase. It will work for both. It will take oxygen and carbon dioxide. So when light intensity increases, the oxygen compete with the CO2 to bind with RUBP. It sometimes instead of CO2, the oxygen may bind with RUBP. It leads to photorespiration. That is a problematic. So up to an optimum level of light intensity, it is good for photosynthetic rate. When more light intensity is there, the photosynthetic rate will be fall. So if you see here another graph that shows C4 plants and C3 plants, so automatically these two plants, I already explained the C4 and C3 plants differences. C3 plants growing at a 15 to 25 degrees centigrade, and C4 plants by 25 to 35. So C4 plants are growing in a high temperature area. So C3 plants are temperate plants, C4 plants are temperature tropical plants. So that's why automatically when we are discussing about the light intensity, C4 plants are more efficient than the C3 plants. When light intensity increase, in high light intensity, C4 plants work properly and more than the C3 plants, and the photosynthetic rate will be more for C4 plants in high light intensity. Still, and now we have to learn about the compensation point. Why? Because CO2 compensation point is there, light compensation point is there. We have to learn that, very important. What is the compensation point? The rate of photosynthesis is equal to the rate of respiration. The rate of photosynthesis should be equal to the rate of respiration, and products of photosynthesis should be equal to the products of respiration. So at last, there is no net gases exchange. The gases exchange of both the photosynthesis and respiration should be zero. How means? Let's see first. In this equation, the chemical equation is there for photosynthesis: 6CO2, 6H2O. In the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, glucose is prepared and oxygen is released. Now here in photosynthesis, how many carbon dioxide is utilized? 6 carbon dioxide is utilized. Now if you see the respiration, how many carbon dioxide are released? 6 CO2 is released. So according to the compensation point, the rate of photosynthesis, the rate of respiration should be equal. Means 6 CO2 by 6 CO2, 6 CO2. If you calculate, the one will come, and means the utilized CO2 and released CO2 are same. And now comes to the oxygen molecule. In photosynthesis, 6 oxygen molecules are released. Now in respiration, 6 oxygen molecules are consumed for oxidation of glucose. So here, if you see the CO2 and if you see the oxygen molecule, both utilizing and releasing, both are same. So this is called a compensation point. If you say light compensation point means at a particular light intensity, when the amount of carbon dioxide released and utilized both should be equal at a particular light intensity. That is called light compensation point. So beyond the light compensation point, the photosynthesis process may reduce. That is very important. Each and every plant has a compensation point. Beyond that, there is no photosynthesis process. That's why the learning of compensation point is very important. Now here in this graph, I am explaining that the different plants will be there in environment. One is shady plants, one is tropical plants. Means some plants are called xeophytes, some plants are called heliophytes. Xeophytes means which are growing in a shady areas. Heliophytes means they are going in a high temperature area. So here if you see this graph on x-axis, foot candela, light intensity is calculated in a foot candela. FC means foot candela. So 10, 100, 1000, 10,000 foot candles on x-axis. On y-axis we have taken reaction rate of photosynthesis, and this red line indicates the compensation point. So for shady places this is a compensation point, and for heliophytes this is a compensation point where the photosynthesis and respiration is equal. This is the point. If you see for shady plants, if you observe the green line, the photosynthetic rate is increasing. At a particular point it is decreased. Why? Because shady plants cannot tolerate high light intensity. And now if you see for heliophytes, they can bear the high light intensity. Now if you see the graph of the photosynthesis B plant, it is the rate of increasing when light intensity is going on increasing. So for shady plants and for temperate plants, it is different. So heliophytes, simple conclusion, heliophytes can face the high light intensity. There is no problem. For shady place, it is a little bit difficult when light intensity increased. Now the next property of light is quality. Quality light is also affects the photosynthesis process. When the light exposed to a prism, already I explained in a webinar 1, light splits into components, different components according to their wavelength. Visible light is there, VIBG or violet, indigo, blue, green, orange, red, like that. So which one is an important wavelength for photosynthesis? Photosynthetically active radiation, POR, it is called as POR. Means already I told you, blue and red lights are very effective for photosynthesis process. So that's why the quality of lights also very important. Light quality refer to the color and wavelength. If we take an example of prism, can divide sunlight into respective colors of red, orange, yellow, green, blue. So green light is reflected outside, and blue light and red light is very important for increasing photosynthetic rate. Already T.W. Engelmann scientists proved by taking the chlorophyll plant where the bacteria are growing at blue and red light wavelength of light which observed by the plant. Means when blue and red light fall on the plant, the rate of photosynthesis is increasing and oxygen levels also released more. That's why the quality also very important for the photosynthesis process. In this, students, three types of plants is there according to critical periodism, photoperiodism. Some plants they need long day for flowering. Some plants they need short day. So what is the critical photoperiodism means? 12 to 16 hours is a critical photoperiodism. Long day plants needs 14 to 16 hours per day of sunlight for flowering. So those plants need a long daytime and a less night time. For short day plants, they need 8 to 10 hours of light only, and remaining they need dark, means night time. So the light duration also can affect the photosynthesis. The longer the plant is exposed to light, the longer the process. Means when plant exposed to more sunlight, the more photosynthesis process. Plant requires some period of darkness to properly develop and should be exposed to light for no more than 16 hours per day. That is 16 hours means it will be for long day plants. It is not for a short day plants. Short day plants only needs 8 to 10 hours only. So if beyond that minimizes, if it is maximizes, the photosynthesis process may effective. Now another external factor, that is temperature. Simply to say, the optimum temperature for any plant, that is between 20 to 30 or 35 we can take. Below 20, above 35, what happens, that we have to discuss. Below 20, above 35, 40, what happens means the enzymes which is required for dark reaction to synthesize the glucose, these enzymes are catalytic. They run the chemical reaction very fast. When temperature fall beyond 20 and the temperature may increase above 35, these enzymes are inactive state. They will go in a inactive state. When temperature or not works properly, the reactions of chemical reactions not work properly, then the photosynthetic rate slowly decreases. Suppose, for example, the temperature it is falls below 20 to 10, the photosynthetic slowly decreases, and again from 10 to 5 degrees, 0 degrees, then the photosynthetic rate may affect. So here the rate of photosynthesis increases with the increase of temperature. The range between 6 degrees to 37. Above 37, if it is on 43 degrees centigrade, sometime the tissue may damage, the chlorophyll may damage. It leads to the decrease of photosynthesis process. That is very important. We can learn through the graph also. If you see the on x-axis we are taken temperature, on y-axis we are taken a rate of photosynthesis. If you see the graph, when temperature increasing, the rate of photosynthesis also increasing. And here the optimum temperature is from 30 to 40. If you see here, this is the optimum temperature. Beyond 40, now temperature is decreasing, means photosynthetic rate is decreasing. Why? Because decrease in rate of reaction as enzymes are destroyed at this temperature. Above 40 degrees, the enzymes are destroyed. The chemical reactions may affect, the rate of photosynthesis may decrease. That is very important. Next, another factor is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide percentage in environment is 0.03 to 0.04. According to Blacksman's law of limiting factor, if we confirm among all factors, this is a limiting factor. If we calculate, carbon dioxide may call as limiting factor. Why? Because the volume of carbon dioxide in environment is 0.03. So what happens if you see the graph, when the 0.03 percentage of carbon dioxide, if it is increased slowly to 0.5, the good photosynthetic rate will be there at 0.05. Above 0.05%, it will goes to high rate. What happens means the stomata closure will occur, and slowly the photosynthesis process may decrease. If you see in your textbook 4.10.2 here clearly they are explained the in atmosphere the carbon dioxide percent is 0.03 to 0.04. Increase in concentration up to 0.05, increasing in photosynthesis. Beyond the 0.05%, it is becoming a damaging over longer period. So 0.05 is the good percentage for photosynthesis. Beyond that, it is harmful for the plant. If you compare C3, C4, C4 are better than the C3 for utilizing carbon dioxide concentration. How mean if you see both C3 and C4 plants show increase in the rate of photosynthesis. C4 plants shows saturation at 360 microliter per liter, while C3 plants respond to increased CO2 concentration at 450 microliter per liter. What is the meaning of this? So many times this type of question asked in an entrance exam. C4 plants, students, C4 plants has a different mechanism of dark reaction. The dark reaction occur in mesophils and bundle sheath cells. C4 plants always try to trap the CO2 which is present in the atmosphere and stored in bundle sheath cells. So C4 plants saturation at 360 microliter per liter. So C4 plants are trapping the CO2 which is present in atmosphere. There is no worry for C4 plants. But C3 plants, they won't respond and they won't keep the concentration in their cells. So always they will catch the CO2 from atmosphere, not by force. Simply they will take CO2. But C4 plants not like that. Less percentage is also present in environment that will traps and stored in the plant bundle sheath cell by C4. C3 won't store the CO2. Directly it will take and do the photosynthesis. That's why for C4 plants, the saturation point is less. For C3, the saturation point of CO2 concentration is more. So here I am concluding that C4 plants are more efficient than C3 in utilizing the carbon dioxide concentration and increase its photosynthetic rate. And some plants, the fact that C3 plants respond to higher concentration by showing increased rate of photosynthesis leading to higher productivity has been used for some greenhouse crops. Suppose some C3 plants are there, tomatoes and bell pepper. So how these plants can be increased, grown high CO2 concentration means we can grow in a greenhouse. So tomatoes and bell pepper we can grow in a greenhouse. Greenhouse crops means which is covered with a polythene or some net-like structures in which the plants are growing. Number of farmers they are using now greenhouse plants. There what happens when the plant receives and releases in respiration, that CO2 will not send to atmosphere. It is greenhouse itself. So I'm explaining tomatoes and bell peppers are grown in a greenhouse that again and again utilized by the plants itself. So this type of plants we can grow in a greenhouse places very nicely. There the CO2 plants are grow and yield high productivity in a high CO2 concentration. Now if you see the graph here, CO2 concentration microliter per liter. So automatically the compensation point, if you see C4 for C4 it is more, for C3 it is less. So C4 plants are very good in utilizing high CO2 concentration than C3 plants. And next, now we are learned the external factors, that is the light, temperature, carbon dioxide. Now if you see the another external factor, that is water. You know, water is very important for the plant body to maintain the turgidity. Already in every time when we are saying the cytoplasm, cytoplasm consists minimum 70 to 80% of water in every cell. When water is a universal solvent, simply logic, water is a universal solvent. All minerals which are dissolved in the water that is trapped are taken by the plant, and when these minerals are present in the plant body, all metabolic activities run simultaneously and the photosynthesis rate will be increased. Not only photosynthesis, every metabolic activity, the growth and development of plant, it depends on the water. Why? Because the water is necessary for to maintain the turgidity. Water provides internal pressure that helps root push through the soil. So automatically, when the water is present, all minerals are dissolved in that, and that is supplied to total body. When water is not is there, what happens when water is absent? Simply think, the minerals are not dissolved, and that is not transported to every plant body. When minerals are not there, automatically all metabolic activities may disturb. So water is one of the raw materials of photosynthesis. The amount of water used in photosynthesis is very small, less than 1% is absorbed by the plant. But the water content of the leaf often act as a limiting factor indirectly in some plants, not all plants. It may the and assimilatory cells. The rate of photosynthesis decreases in a cells which have lost their turgor. Means when full of water is there, water potential will be very good. Exchange of water and minerals from one cell to another cell is run simultaneously, and the photosynthesis process, chemical reactions run fast, and photosynthesis may increase. When the cells comes under flaccid condition, the photosynthesis will be decreased. That is very important. Now another factor is oxygen. Oxygen is essential photosynthesis. Why? Because when oxygen is present, the respiration run. Already in the equation, it is there in respiration equation. The glucose is oxidized by the oxygen and energy is released. For any plant, any organism, oxygen is very important. When oxygen is not there, respiration not done, and energy is not released, and automatically all, not only photosynthesis, each and every metabolic activity may affect. For now, we are discussing about photosynthesis. For this also, energy is needed. That energy comes by glucose when it oxidizes. And high concentration of oxygen inhibit the rate of photosynthesis. Why? Because in C3 plants already you learned that when oxygen percentage is more than 21%, the RUBP receives oxygen and it will do oxidative process and start photorespiration, which is very lost to plant. If you see here, the Rubisco enzyme, when Rubisco enzyme ribulose 1,5 bis-phosphate carboxylate oxygenase, when oxygen percentage is more than 21%, instead of CO2, oxygen bind to RUBP and it will run photorespiration, which is a very last to photosynthesis process. Already we learned C2 cycle, photorespiration cycle. So that's why oxygen percentage is also very important. Beyond 21% is very lost to the plant body. So here the graph is there. See, at a 1.5% oxygen, 0.03% carbon dioxide. Now see the graph and rate of photosynthesis is very good. But beyond the 21%, slowly the graph is decreasing here. So that's why when oxygen percentage is more than 21%, it's very lost to plant. Why? Because it will start photorespiration. It is a very harmful process for the plant. If suppose anybody asks a question in any, describe and explain the effect of oxygen concentration on the rate of photosynthesis. Simply the answer is high levels of oxygen reduce the rate of photosynthesis. Effect greater at higher temperatures. High concentration means more effective. Next, DCMU, it's a chemical, 3,4-dichloro-diphenyl-dimethyl-urea. So it is a chemical one. If it is present in a water or it is present in a plant body, it works as a inhibitor. It will bind with enzymes which blocks the plastoquinone binding site. Plastoquinone is a electron transferer in a light reaction. Already we learned. So when these electrons are binding or when plastoquinone are binding to the membrane, this DCMU chemical, it blocks the plastoquinone binding site to photosystem 2. So automatically there is an interruption, there is a break between the traveling of electrons from photosystem 2 to 1. So automatically generation of ATP and NADPH stops. That impacts the synthesis of glucose in dark reaction. Simple logic. When electrons move from photosystem 1 to 2, ATP and NADPH are synthesized. If any interruption is there in that moment, ATP and NADPH are not synthesized. And that is more important for the dark reaction where the glucose is synthesized by taking ATP and NADPH. So simply logic, this chemical is binding. It is a blocking of a binding of plastoquinone to the photosystem 2 that prevents the flow of electrons from photosystem 2. So automatically ATP and NADPH are not synthesized. Automatically what happened? ATP and NADPH are now synthesized. Automatically glucose will not synthesize. Here the photosynthetic rate may be decreased. Now, up to now, we learned the external factors, how they are influencing. Now, if you see the internal factors, what is that? Chlorophyll concentration. Simple logic. It is directly proportional. It is directly proportional. When chlorophyll concentration is more, photosynthesis process will be more. When it is affected, suppose how the chlorophyll is made? The chlorophyll is made with magnesium and nitrogens and hydrogens. If these minerals are less, automatically chlorophyll is not synthesized. The percentage concentration of chlorophyll is less. When chlorophyll is less, photosynthesis will be less. That is simple logic. Why? Because chlorophyll is the main content. Whatever we are discussing here, the main hero for photosynthesis is chlorophyll. Why? Because it traps the solar energy. This is only very important. Chlorophyll is trapping the solar energy and synthesizing the ATP and NADPH. If the concentration of chlorophyll is less, means automatically the photosynthesis rate will be decreased. Simple. If you take here iron is there, if you are not taking iron, hemoglobin is not prepared. Hemoglobin is not there, oxygen levels will be decreased in your body. So a lot of changes will be there. Like this, here magnesium is not there, means chlorophyll not synthesized. So these are all interdependent on each other. That is very important. Next, accumulation of end products. So when food is synthesized in a plant body, especially leaf, especially in thylakoid, in a stroma, that is transported to phloem. From phloem, it has to transport to the main line, and it has to transport to total plant body. The starch is stored in a thylakoid or in a chloroplast as it is. There is no movement. So automatically, this may affect the chemical reactions of a dark reaction that leads to decreasing of photosynthesis process. So up to now, we learned the external internal factor. In internal factor, chloroplast, number of chloroplast, if number of chloroplast is more, photosynthesis rate is more. Number of chlorophyll is increased, concentration, photosynthesis may increase. The leaf size is broad, big one. If the leaf is big one, the size is big one, automatically more sunlight is received and more photosynthesis. And stomatal index, if you see more stomata, more photosynthesis. Less stomata and less photosynthesis. So that is the internal factors. If you take mesophyll tissue, size of a leaf, big size leaf can do more photosynthesis than the small size leaf. So automatically chlorophyll content, chloroplast number, size of leaf, mesophyll content, these are all direct proportional. If they increase, photosynthesis process also increase. So these are the important point what we learned today, that is the factors affecting photosynthesis, external factors and internal factors, that is light intensity, light quality, light duration, temperature. At optimum temperature, the photosynthesis is very good. And next, duration, minimum 16 hours, 14 to 16 hours, the plant should be exposed to sunlight, then only the photosynthesis process is very good. And next, oxygen concentration, carbon dioxide concentration, and water availability, and the internal factors like chlorophyll content, chloroplast content. So these are the factors that may influence. When these are minimized and they are maximized, what happens we learned today. And let's say, just to recap, what we learned in a total photosynthesis process. But because lot of time taken for to complete this photosynthesis process, students, slowly I will revise what we learned in a photosynthesis. In webinar 1, the introduction is given that every organism needs food for energy. When energy is present, automatically the metabolic activities runs inside and it will run our life. So for energy, depends on food. They are based on the food habits. Some are autotrophs, some are heterotrophs. Autotrophs means that the algae and the plant prepare its own food material by photosynthesis by trapping solar energy. And the plants, the organisms which are not having chlorophyll in their body, they are automatically they are depending on other and synthesizing their food by depending on other. And for autotrophs, the process is called photosynthesis. Means 6CO2 by trapping carbon dioxide through the stomata. By utilizing water with the help of chlorophyll and sunlight, the food is prepared. And raw materials are needed, that is carbon dioxide, water, chlorophyll, chloroplast, already we learned. And the chloroplast, which is a double membrane layer which contain thylakoid. And next, light, pigments, absorption spectrum and action spectrum in a webinar 1. See the equation of photosynthesis. 6CO2 and 6H2O in the presence of sunlight, glucose is prepared. And the chloroplast structure, double membrane, and inside the aqueous solution is called stroma. And the sac-like structures are thylakoid, which contain pigments. These pigments trap solar energy. When the electrons from photosystem 2 to photosystem 1 generates ATP and NADPH, which are transferred to stroma and further process run and synthesize the starch. And light is also another essential factor for photosynthesis. When light splits, the important lights are visible light from 400 nanometers to 700 nanometer. The VIBGYOR, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red, and mostly blue and red lights are very important for photosynthesis. If you see the absorption spectrum, in absorption spectrum, what we are learning, the absorption of different pigments at a different wavelength. Absorption of different pigments at a different wavelength of light. In action spectrum, we learned that the increasing of rate of photosynthesis according to different wavelength. Increasing of rate of photosynthesis according to the wavelength. So here we learned that blue and red lights, that wavelength are very important for photosynthesis, increasing rate. Now, so photosynthesis process completes by two, that is light dependent reaction and light independent reaction. And that is the light reaction and the dark reaction. In light reaction, we learned that photosystem 1, photosystem 2 both are present, and that synthesizes ATP and NADPH. In dark reaction, by utilizing ATP, NADPH and CO2, glucose is prepared. And if you see one thylakoid here, the light reaction are there, photosystem 2 and this is the photosystem 1. Where sunlight fall, these pigments are get oxidized and electrons are released outside. These electrons travels from one electron transferer to another electron transferer. At last, it is received by the NADP and it will convert into NADPH. And when these protons in a lumen of thylakoid, they has to move from high concentration to low concentration. The proton gradient is there. According to the proton gradient, they move from ATPase and ATP synthesized in a thylakoid. If you see the jet scheme of electron flow, light reaction. So here photosystem 2 is there here, photosystem 1, the electrons, when sunlight fall, the electrons move from one system to another system. At last NADP is converted into NADPH and the protons will be generates ATP. And to continue this light reaction, the water lysis occur. This is very important. When water splits, the electrons are re-entering into the system and continuing the cycle. And when these protons from stroma to lumen, when water lysis, the protons are released. All these protons, when compared to outside of the thylakoid. So if we compare the both system outside of the thylakoid and inside of the thylakoid, a proton gradient is created. Now the protons are try to move from thylakoid lumen to outside. There is only one channel, that is ATPase. Through this, the protons are moving outside and combining ADP and phosphate and ATP is synthesized. And this chemi-osmotic hypothesis explained by Peter Mitchell, how the proton gradient is increased inside of the lumen, how they escaped from this, and how ATP is synthesized. Now in light reaction, NADPH and ATP is synthesized. Now these ATP and NADPH are involved in dark reaction, where the scientist Calvin is proved that ATP and NADPH are utilized. The CO2 molecules are received by RUBP and carbon fixation is occur. And now after carbon fixation into phosphoglyceric acid, that will convert into glycerolate 3-phosphate by reduction process by utilizing ATP and NADPH. In that, fewer goes to cytosol to prepare sugar and leftover goes to regeneration of RUBP, again to continue this cycle. And calculation is there. How many ATPs? 18 ATPs are needed and 12 NADPH are needed for prepare one glucose molecule to run 6 turns of Calvin cycle. And the dark reaction in C4 plants having the specialty of Kranz anatomy, which have both mesophyll cells and bundle sheath cells. So they are taking CO2 and increasing the concentration of carbon dioxide in the form of malic acid. That malic acid entering into the bundle sheath and going for C3 cycle. And that's why this is a specialty. By having Kranz anatomy, a specialized cells, they are avoiding photorespiration when compared to C3 plants. Why? Because already I told you, Rubisco enzyme is not there in mesophyll cells. It is present in bundle sheath cell. That's why there is no trapping of oxygen. There is no binding of oxygen to the RUBP. So that's why the C3 plants are specialized than C4 are specialized than the C3 by having this type of cells. If you see the C4 pathway, here already total C3 cycle is running, but except this, the process is again more process happening to increase CO2 concentration. How means the CO2 entering into the mesophyll cells and is converting into oxaloacetic acid. It is converting into malic acid. Now total concentration of CO2 in malic acid, that malic acid is entering into bundle sheath cells. Here the malic acid is splitting into pyruvate and CO2. Now CO2 will run C3 cycle. C4 means these are specialized plants, tropical plants. The specialty is they are increasing carbon dioxide percentage and storing in bundle sheath cells. And again they run C3 as it is. But again the more process is happening to increase CO2 concentration. So that's why C4 plants are more efficient than the C3 for doing this process. CAM, that what is the difference of CAM plants? These are desert plants. The difference in night and daytime only, and remaining process is same. They are fixing the CO2 at night time and synthesizing the starch in a daytime, and remaining is same process. Here in night time they are trapping CO2 and doing the C4 cycle as it is, and CO2 concentration is there in malic acid in the form of, and this malic acid entering into the daytime and go for a C3 cycle. So in CAM plants C4 occur and C3 occur. C4 is happening at night, C3 happening in a daytime. The difference only in a night and daytime. This process occur only in desert plants. And this is a C2 cycle. Already we learned in C3 plants when oxygen percentage is more than 21%, the oxygen bind to RUBP and form phosphoglycolate which run C2 cycle. This is very loss to plant. Both sides, productivity will be decreased, and the ATP, NADP which is synthesized in light reaction, that is also utilized more in photorespiration. By this photosynthesis productivity may decrease. So already this all we learned, and today apart from this what we learned again, the factor influence photosynthesis. Thank you. all for giving a nice opportunity to complete the photosynthesis process.
Thank you, dear Mahesh. You have explained about the factors that are influencing the process of photosynthesis, and you also given a brief insight into the entire process of photosynthesis. Taken weeks to complete the session and the topic because of certain exigencies and the technical issues. Anyhow, the students can watch all the content related to the photosynthesis online. Thank you, dear Mahesh.